Frank Spillers here, founder of Experience Dynamics, and it's time for this week's UX Power Up. So today's topic is the return on investment of user-centered design, or the ROI of UCD in the acronym land. So just to recap, what's known about ROI of user experience and user-centered design is that for every $2 you spend, you get a return of 200 back. Or another study found that if you spend 10%, you're likely to gain 83% in a more recent study. The analysis of companies themselves that are doing customer experience, user experience work compared to those who are not is interesting as well. And there have been a couple of studies done on this. One of the latest ones that concluded in 2012, and it was a 6-7 year study of these companies and their performance, was that companies who were doing user-centered design had triple the returns, and their cumulative totals of the top 10 were 43% increase over that time period, and this is during the recession. And the lower 10% of companies had a cumulative negative return of minus 34%. So from a company performance perspective, we can see return on investment happening across the enterprise in terms of value. But what does this mean to you down at the interface level? If you're a developer, if you're a designer or marketer, if you work with teams that are trying to improve the bottom line. Well, in a world where we know that roughly 5% of features are used 95% of the time, so in other words, users focus on the things that are important to them and pretty much ignore all the other bells and whistles, right? That you can save between 33 and 50% of development time and therefore cost by employing user-centered design techniques. You can reduce, in another study found that you can reduce overall dev or rework time by 50%. And the reason is because you're specifying requirements up front, you're validating those with actual user needs, and so that's a notoriously time-consuming and oversight in most projects go over. Requirements are still being defined all the way up to launch. It's something that a lot of companies struggle with. So specifying up front and getting all your stakeholders on the same page, getting all your requirements nailed down, getting a UI style guide in place that developers can just develop to helps speed that up. So we've seen ROI gains pretty dramatically. Now the industry standard for conversion rates is something like 2%, 4% is really good. We've seen conversion rates go up as high as 83% and up to the 90% mark. We've seen revenue on one of the e-commerce sites we worked on, saw revenue increase by 200%. This is a site that was generating, one of our clients' 10 or 12 websites, not really generating a lot of revenue, a couple of tens of thousands of dollars, and then to over $1 million within a 6-month period using user-centered design techniques. There are many great examples. IBM had an e-commerce site. They moved the shop button up and just moved it up the page a little bit and had a 500% increase in revenue just by increasing the visibility of that button. We've seen other cases where we've just moved a button away from like a branding element, almost like a logo, and seen 100% and 50% increase in ease of use on the same design. So the return on investment of user-centered design is definitely proven. There's a long history of case studies and analysis of ROI, even though it's not straightforward to calculate ROI. I think we can see from at least some of the studies that I've just mentioned here today that there is a really strong ROI, and It is important to measure, and it is important to bake that into your usability projects so that you can show the actual tangible value as well as you're going through your efforts. Happy UXing and looking for opportunities to evaluate return on investment should be baked into the beginning. Think about it, keep it in mind, and we'll see you on a future UX Power Up. Thanks a lot.